So a couple of weeks ago on our Wednesday night special, we did Brainwashed, and we showed you how BLM had infiltrated our schools unlike anything I've ever seen before. We showed you yesterday that there's already books about that you're supposed to read to your child. What was it? Baby racist?
Anti-racist baby.
Yeah, anti-racist baby. And if you have a white baby, you need to teach it right away that they're racist and that they need to feel sorry about that. Teaching your babies. Well, it is an attack that goes now from cradle to grave, and it is very well financed and very well coordinated. And we found out yesterday, due to the great reporting from Christopher Rufo. He's a contributing editor of City Journal, director of Center on Wealth and Poverty. He did a document dump yesterday that shows the Department of Education actually funded an organization that has hosted a training for teachers on critical race theory, and that there were people from the Department of Education at this. Christopher is on the phone with us now. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Very good. I'm better than you. I live in Texas. You live in Seattle. So, tell us exactly what you found and what does it mean?
Yeah, well, this is a series of leaked documents from all over the federal government, and a whistleblower sent me a slide presentation with minutes of a recent presentation by a woman named Dr. Bettina Beck, who out and out called for the overthrow of every institution of the United States. She said America is a fundamentally white supremacist country that is oppressing people of color for 400 years. And we need to immediately abolish prisons, abolish the school system and reinvent it, abolish every institution that creates the condition for oppression and, quote unquote, start over. And it's just shocking. It has nothing to do with helping children. It is essentially calling for the abolition of the United States itself. And it's shocking because the organization that held this conference, an organization called CAST, has received $16 million in public funding during the Trump administration from the Department of Education and other federal departments. And it's another instance of radical revolutionaries. That's kind of how their rhetoric is to overthrow the country, being funded by the federal government and the permanent bureaucracy, no matter who's in office.
I will tell you that if you didn't believe in the deep state in 2016, I can understand. If you don't believe in the deep state now, you're a moron. This is exactly what the deep state is. Is there any indication that this organization came in under the Trump administration, or is this something that the federal government has been financing for a while?
Yeah, this has been an agency that the federal government has been financing since at least 2004, likely much sooner, much earlier than that. But I have the documented records from 2004, and that's exactly the point, Glenn, that you're making, is that these organizations, essentially in silence, in the shadows, are sucking off the federal government. They don't care who's in office. They don't care what the priorities and principles of the person who's running the federal government might be. And they know that year after year after year, they can steadily bilk taxpayers, take money that funds their pet projects and their kind of radical critical race theory and explicitly anti-American ideologies.
So now this was a study or a seminar done with the Department of Education for teachers, right? So this was how teachers should teach revolution and the tearing down of every American institution and to overthrow the government of the United States.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the speaker explicitly called on white teachers and said that, quote, white people need to get out of their white emotionality, end quote, and then be able to give up their wealth, to be able to give up more than their privilege, to be able to give up their power and essentially submit to this ideology and then become what she calls, again, a direct quotation, co-conspirators in this revolutionary activity. And, on the face of it is absolutely absurd. And, if that's your point of view and you want to express it on your private time and your private dime, I'm okay with that. I imagine you'll be okay with that too, even if we disagree. But this is different because it's being subsidized directly by every taxpayer in America. So if you are a hardworking plumber in Omaha, or you are an electrician or an Uber driver in Houston, you are paying for for this kind of rhetoric, this ideology that directly wants to abolish all opportunities that you have in this country. And I think that we need to shine a light on it. And I've called on the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, to conduct an investigation and hopefully cut off the spigot for at least this instance and this organization.
So I spoke to Betsy DeVos's staff last night. They are opening an investigation in this. They are going to be tracking this down and finding out exactly who is involved and where else this disease has spread. So good job on finding this. And Betsy is, I don't know if you know who the DeVos family is, but there's no way that Betsy DeVos is going to tolerate any of this kind of stuff. First of all, you've got Donald Trump, and I think he's an unabashed capitalist that doesn't want to see the destruction of the American system. But Betsy's parents are the ones that started the American way back in the 50s. And it was a way for the average person to make extra money to be able to pull themselves up and get out of their situation and maybe afford to go to college or to live their dreams. The American way, we know it now as Amway. And so there's no way that somebody who grew up with the parents of the American way is going to let this stuff slide.
And Glenn, I think that's exactly a great way to summarize the dynamics of this election. You have one political movement and party that wants to now explicitly destroy the American way. And you have another, and with Donald Trump and the conservative movement, that wants to preserve the American way and improve it incrementally. And I think that that's a very clear choice for voters. I think in some ways it's even more clear than the choice in 2016 because the left has radically escalated their rhetoric, committed to violence in the streets. None of their political leaders are calling that out or even trying to tamp it down. And then the president issuing the executive order last week to abolish critical race theory in the direct federal agencies. He's stepping up in a big way, taking action on these items. And I think that we should hope that there's more opportunity for us to uncover this and to make some changes.